Good morning, wrestling fans, and welcome to PWR Today. It's February 24th, 2022, Thursday. The man that called Meathead and the gentleman squire, the M.O.T.S, the man of the streets, the man of the people. But I don't think M.O.T.P would work. It's Matthew Thomas. Good morning, Matthew.
M.O.T, yeah, that would work. I mean, but the thing of it is, like, it notates the fact that I'm a man of the people when I'm on the street, because there's people on the street, and I'm a man of them.
Didn't you once live under the 6th Street Viaduct?
Not that I can recall, but there's a lot of things that I can't recall.
There was a wrestler from back in the days, probably one of my favorites. When he was called in, it was from the 6th Street Viaduct's Punk, and it wasn't CM Punk; it was just Punk. So no, I love him. Ended up being we crossed paths in other companies too. So no, I miss him. But yeah, the 6th Street Viaduct. Hopefully my Milwaukee listeners know who I'm talking about here.
Yeah, so well, I mean, maybe that person's listening now too. I mean, do you have anything else you'd like to say to them? I kind of feel like this is like a Sleepless in Seattle kind of misconnections type of thing.
Yeah, Sleepless in Seattle. It's kind of like in the other guys where he said the guy that had what was it, poison ivy up his butt.
He must have gotten it from that viaduct.
What's that movie where Tom Hanks had poison ivy in his butt? With Meg Ryan. Yeah, Sleepless in Seattle.
Wasn't Sleepless in Seattle? Okay. Well, he was having tooth problems when he was working for FedEx and then trapped on that island. So Tom Hanks, man, yeah, been getting got some conditions here and there, man.
Matthew Thomas, who's our sponsor today?
Collar and Elbow Brand. Good to have plenty of collar and elbow brand gear in case you ever do get trapped on a desert island, or it'd probably be more beneficial if you got trapped somewhere where it was really cold. Desert island, you'd probably be okay with very minimal clothing, but nonetheless, if you're going to be traveling somewhere and want to take plenty of clothes with you, collarandelbowbrand.com, promo code Linda K.
Oh, yeah, make sure it's right.
Lindak. You know what? I said that too fast, man. Maybe I need to spell it out for our listening audience. It's Lindakay. Saves you 10%. That's a promo code that you enter where it says promo code. And then that'll save you the money, the 10% off. You can take that money that you save and do whatever you want to do with it. And then you have collar and elbow stuff.
Volleyball.
You can buy a volleyball to have as a special friend.
There you go. Well, hey, speaking of Linda K, let's do a quick talk on OVW coming up tonight. They've got a major show that'll be live on Fight TV. Impact World Champion Moose will be on the program, and coming back home, WWE legend. She broke down the Forbidden Door at the Royal Rumble. Impact Knockouts champion Mickie James also on OVW tonight.
So what you're telling me is Impact is sending both of their world champions, both of their major title holders, to OVW.
Yeah. Now, you brought up something very interesting off air before we got started. With the show going on live from the OVW Arena, Matthew, what else is going on?
Yeah, so you've got Impact running as well, too. So you've got, a taped episode of Impact that's in the can going up against a live OVW that's going to have two of their, main talents on the show.
That's okay, though. I mean, they're there. So tonight on OVW on Fight TV, our Linda K will be ring announcing. She will be at the show. We're going to have to get a live report from Linda at OVW. Hopefully we have it for tomorrow morning on Friday to find out what's going on in OVW. So, Matthew, let's move on to a little bit of news here. Bryan Danielson says that when he was deciding on if he was going to come to AEW.
Bryan Danielson's going there too, man. That's awesome.
I don't think he ever wrestled in OVW. But Bryan Danielson, when he was on his way to AEW, says he saw a spot that Cody Rhodes did off the top turnbuckle that just, literally scared him. Goes, I'm a man, I'm 40. I can't be doing that kind of stuff. But it kind of excited him at the same time. And what he's speaking about is AEW is really professional wrestling, whereas in WWE might be sports entertainment.
Yeah, and I think he just described every Cody Rhodes match that I saw Cody Rhodes have in AEW. And again, that's why the whole Cody news surprised me as much as it did. Cody's had so many signature spots in that company, from the moonsault off the top of the cage to literally burning himself to, the bloody match with Dustin. I am leaving so many out to that freaking wicked The Sean Spears chair incident, that wicked spot Cody had on the ramp. Remember the diamond-plated ramp where he cut his forehead in one of the early AEW pay-per-views? I mean, this guy, it's cliched, but the guy who bled and literally set himself on fire for the company. And to me, when all of that was happening, I viewed it as, okay, this guy is putting himself out there because, I mean, he's doing this for that company. And my goodness, I always expected it to come around. Cody eventually was in the process of turning I set myself on fire for you, for the fans, directing that at the fans. You boo me and I set myself on fire for you. My goodness, it's just, and I know we're kind of going off track a little bit, but that interview specifically, it reiterates the fact that Cody, known for all of these big spots in the company, is not an AEW guy anymore.
It's, we'll have to see how that story plays out with Cody Rhodes and where he shows up. He did re-sign with TNT to do Rhodes to the Top again with his wife Brandy. So we're gonna have to figure out where that goes. Let's transition into Bill Goldberg. Bill Goldberg, known as also the first ever Jewish American to win the World Heavyweight Championship in boxing. In his interview, he was quoted as saying, quote, "I just squished mother effers," unquote. "I was the Mike Tyson of professional wrestling in my prime." Matthew, you said it. I'm going to set you up to re-say it again, but does Goldberg know that this is sports entertainment?
Yeah, I think Goldberg thinks that it's a shoot. And did you just say Goldberg was the first Jewish man to win the World Heavyweight Championship in boxing?
Not in boxing, in professional wrestling.
Oh, I thought you said boxing, which was news to me. But my goodness, yeah, that's exactly how that comes off. It's basically, it's a comment that is, he's not talking about how well he worked. He's not talking about any mic work or anything. He's quintessentially talking about referencing a win-loss record. And at the end of the day, he was booked that way. And that comment is completely insulated from any of that acknowledgement of the fact that they strapped a rocket to his back and shot him up the rankings, and he was the WCW guy. You listen to that comment and he's talking about how he just bulldozed over people. It's because you were booked to do that, man.
Yeah, it's just weird. I mean, that's cool. You know what? We saw Bill Goldberg lose to Roman Reigns at the Elimination Chamber in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. I thought he did fine. I thought it was a typical Goldberg doesn't win match, which also goes about 5 minutes or so. I was okay with it, but I don't know see, here's the thing. I don't know Bill Goldberg. I don't know if he just says this when he's in media outlets. Yeah. And he says this to, is he playing his character? I don't know.
Right.
But it's just weird.
I mean, is he at a point where that's a comment that would have made sense in 1998 or 1999 WCW? Does not make sense in 2022.
No, not at all. We're going to get to it in a little bit, but we are going to segue into another Jewish American wrestler from Dynamite last night. And Matthew, you had some feelings on that. But first, let's talk about it. It's Dynamite from last night, AEW. We got a couple things coming out of the show. New talent debuts, plus we had the promo from MJF. And it made you and I feel a little something and a little bit of, I don't know how I feel about it, but we're going to get there first. Look, the show starts off with the AEW number one contender tag team battle royal. So the number one contender is also going to be determined next week as well. There'll be two number one contenders, and they're going to make their way to the pay-per-view. So I don't know what their term for this match is, but basically it's tag teams. Proud and Powerful, 2.0, Red Dragon, Young Bucks, Best Friends, FTR, Private Party, Butcher and Blade, Dark Order, and Gun Club are all in there together. You're not eliminated as a team until both members of the team are eliminated over the top rope, both feet hitting the floor. Royal Rumble rules. Yeah. This was an okay match. You know what I really enjoy more than anything else is when they got down to 6 individuals from 6 separate teams and they separated each other to kind of highlight, different little spots in there. I enjoy taking a match like a Royal Rumble or a match like this and then having separate segments in it.
Yeah, no, I mean it served the purpose. And correct me if I'm wrong, are we getting another one next week? Is that what I saw in
Yes.
the graphic? So with that in mind, I do feel a little bit of this is kind of AEW. Oh my goodness, we're getting really, really close to the pay-per-view. We've got to get something going on for the tag teams. It feels a little bit rushed, but here's the thing. I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here. I realize
You feel
that.
it shoehorned in there?
Yeah, I would rather have that versus what we have with WWE, which is where you get your pay-per-view set the night after the next pay-per-view, and then you've got 3 to 4 weeks of a holding pattern. They've got a few more matches they need to, kind of tease out for Mania, but you look at how much of Mania we've already got laid out now with 5 to 6 weeks to go. So yeah, AEW is kind of trying to make up for lost time, but I'm okay with that if the other option is 5 to 6 weeks of can they coexist? We're not getting that in AEW. My goodness. So I give them that credit there, and I would rather them err on the side of this.
So the winner of this particular match is Red Dragon. Red Dragon will be going to the pay-per-view to take on the team of Jurassic Express and the winners of next week's Tag Team Battle Royal.
So, they will. So what you're saying is the Briscoes are going to be added to the match when they show up next week.
Reach for the sky, boy. Possibly.
I think you need to do that, man. And then here's the thing too, like that does put Briscoes and FTR as a program down the road. It doesn't bring the Briscoes in immediately working with FTR. It gives them the initial pop, and then you let them go do their thing. Hopefully win the titles. Maybe they don't, but
you know what? I don't need them debuting next week. I need them debuting at the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I need FTR winning next week, and then FTR going to the pay-per-view. Let the Briscoes come in at that point.
Yeah.
There's real talk out there, legitimately, that it may not happen, and we want it to happen. But I mean, who knows?
Yeah, from what I've read on the dirty sheets is it sounds like that there might actually be some concern there is deciding who's going to go over. And that might in and of itself be why the match is not happening because both teams kind of peg themselves as the best tag teams in the world,
Figure it out, boys. Let's go. Figure it out. MJF. This MJF promo would have been a good promo if he were a face because he spilled his heart and soul, but he wasn't. And Matthew, the term that made you uncomfortable, the term that made me uncomfortable was, and said by MJF about himself, Jew boy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So let's there's several different elements to unpack here. A promo that tugs at your heartstrings, and so there's no doubt that of MJF's ability. Nobody was questioning his ability to cut a great promo prior to last night. Last night, I think, cemented it even further. The promo, the delivery, the effect, this guy's crying, this guy has great talent. Nobody's disputing that. Making the audience not know how to feel in a situation like this. I mean, this is your top heel. We saw it, some weeks back at his hometown where he was quintessentially a quasi face. I was okay with it because it was a one-off and you were going to try to, your other alternative was for him to come out and get cheap heat. And they didn't go with that. They didn't go with that played out wrestling trope of the guy trying to get booed in his hometown. And I like that. This was different last night here. The payoff is probably ultimately going to be him using this to catch Punk, make Punk second guess himself, catch him unguarded. But that's segment number one where we have a top-notch heel evoking sympathy from the crowd. That contradicts with, I think, effective wrestling booking. The second part of that was to do that, he brought out the term Jew boy. He made reference to himself being bullied, and he did it multiple times in high school with these anti-Semitic terms. And that in and of itself, however this plays out, AEW used racism as a device in storytelling. And I am all kinds of uncomfortable with that.
Super uncomfortable to the point where we're going to call it right there. That's how uncomfortable I am. I want to move on.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the Kings of the Black Throne. Now, they may have been called this before, but I hadn't caught on to it yet, but it's really the House of Black. Malachi Black and Brody King versus the Death Triangle Pack and Penta El Zero Miedo, who is not Penta El Zero Miedo. It's Penta Oscuro, which translates into Penta Dark. Cool. Okay, he's got a little bit of different gimmick now. Kind of like a Finn Balor going to the Demon, or just different face paint, Willow, whatever you want to say. I'm okay with it. This is nice. I did not know this, by the way, but Brody King is also the lead singer of a band called God's Hate, which is a hardcore band out right now as well. So Brody King out there getting business done as well. Matthew, what'd you think of the match before we get to the finish?
Yeah, and there's also a vampire involved here. There was a vampire ringside as well. My goodness.
That was a little weird. Alex dressed up as a vampire.
I'm going to have to start watching these entrances with another adult present and the lights on or something, man. This is starting to get a little scary for me. Yeah,
watch outside during the daytime.
Yeah, man. Like I got used to Taker's entrance and Kane's entrance. I'm okay with that, but the masks and the horns, man, make me feel a little bit uncomfortable. But no, this was a solid match, and two very tag teams that you are to take seriously.
Okay. The winners of the match, Death Triangle, with the win over the Kings of the Black Throne, who hadn't suffered a defeat as a tag team yet. But after that, the lights go out. Returning back is now Buddy Matthews, not Buddy Murphy from WWE, Buddy Matthews. And instantly a WWE fan's going to look and go, Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy had that ongoing thing at the beginning of COVID as well, where they just kept going back and forth. So, All right. These guys know each other. They acknowledged it on the commentary table. Yep, these guys have had issues before. But obviously, it turns into a turn. Buddy Matthews is part of the House of Black.
Yeah, I like it, man. This is a solid. Did
you hear Brody King yelling out, order him?
No, I missed that.
I thought that was absolutely tremendous. Brody King yells out, order him! And, Malachi grabs him and, tells him to do what he's supposed to do to Penta.
Well, I think you've got the most. I mean, that to me is the most intimidating stable that AEW's currently got going.
They look good. I love it. The lights going out either the first, second, or third time. I don't remember which time, but you can't do that to older guys like Tony Schiavone and JR. JR with the lights on kept going, clap on, wax on, wax on. What the hell's going on here? I lost I lost it right there. Just listen to JR get confused by the lights being out again.
I like the fact that AEW does it. I mean, you're going back to when I look at that, I mean, I think of that as primarily an ECW effect. I know other companies have done it. WWE, I don't feel like has done that tactic in quite a long time. So I'm still very, very excited when I see it in AEW.
But JR just getting old and confused. I lost it for that. Coming up right after that, we've got Jericho and Kingston in the ring. And Chris Jericho, for as good as he was on the mic last night and as good as he's looking, because he's lost a little bit of weight and he's shredded up a little bit. His face is a little bit smaller. He looked a little puffy back in the COVID days when they were at dailies every week. He looks really good right now. However, Kingston whipped his ass on the mic.
Yeah, and I mean, Jericho clearly came across as the heel here. There was no murky water for me. There was no gray area. I felt like you had a full-fledged heel, Chris Jericho, and a babyface underdog, Kingston. And I was lobbying pretty hard for Kingston to get the win over Punk at the last pay-per-view. I thought you really had an opportunity to make Kingston's career there. Of course, they were saving that Punk loss for MJF. I think they made the right decision, but I want to see them go the route of having Kingston defeat Jericho. I don't think it hurts Jericho in any capacity with the way he's being utilized right now. I think it makes Kingston. I want to see that happen at this show.
We were sitting on every word between Jericho and Eddie Kingston. And Eddie Kingston's promos they're very real. You can feel them. Jericho calling him a street thug and Kingston asking him, do you know what a street thug is? You have no idea. Even though Jericho says, I'm repeating your words. Kingston's stuff is real. And it made me think to myself, oh my God, I'm sitting here on every word they say. What is a street thug? Eddie Kingston is a street thug because Eddie Kingston will do whatever it is to survive.
Yeah.
Brought up his uncle, brought up his, I mean, it's, all he did was just use the stuff that was in that Players Tribune article that Eddie Kingston wrote.
And what an article that was. I mean, that's source material for a long, long time right there, even if you're just using that. Yeah, I mean, as many stars as AEW has, Kingston is one of those that I think can really, really rise to the top, that the fans will get behind very,
When
very
Page
passionately.
loses, Adam Page loses, and he loses to a heel champion,
Yeah.
Eddie Kingston can be the face that goes up against that heel.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And you would have, that's one thing AEW has done a very, very good job of, that professional wrestling really hasn't done since the Attitude Era, is having their heels booed and their baby faces cheered. And I think there is no better example of what that could potentially be than a babyface Eddie Kingston.
Face of the Revolution qualifying match, Ricky Starks. I also got entertainment out of Taz correcting Shivani and JR on how to pronounce Starks with a New York accent, taking on 10. You know what? Big old DN, good old DN, our friend from Dallas, our friend from Big D, was on the Ricky Starks bandwagon since day one. I'm coming around. Yeah. Ricky Starks is entertaining TV.
Oh, without a doubt. I think he's added a lot, to commentary as well, too. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of this match fill out, because the first 3 participants that have been announced are not your normal ladder match guys.
And 2 of them are Team Taz.
Yeah, these are the solid, big foundation, which I think you are potentially setting yourself up for a match that could potentially have a lot of good psychology. I mean, those entertaining matches that we do enjoy, those ladder matches where you've got 6 high flyers, are fun to watch, but a lot of times they're spot fest where you got 2 guys at a time doing their thing and everybody else is dead outside of the ring. Right. When you have, the kind of thickness that you have got with
thickness. What are you saying about Keith?
Yeah, the first Keith and Powerhouse Hobbs, and who else am I missing? Who else has been? Yeah. I mean, my goodness, you can tell a story here.
The thickness. Ricky Starks coming back and acknowledging that him and Keith Lee were in another. Hello, Keith. How are you doing, Keith? Again, I'm finally coming around to Ricky Starks.
Yeah, no, I mean he is definitely one of their talents.
Jade Cargill taking on the Bunny. So Jade Cargill, I don't know how to say this. The Bunny did a great job, I think. Yeah. Jade Cargill can do the stuff. You know who Jade Cargill is right now? She's the Goldberg of the women's division.
Yeah.
She's out there to just be dominant, and I think her matches are too long.
Yeah, and I mean, she made a point on the mic. Who else is there left? And
she said, "Who's next?" And then who else is left? Yeah.
So no, I mean, you're spot on, and we're gonna run out of. You got to think it's a lengthy title reign, and like we've talked about before. Yeah, she's, hopefully going to grow with the title. I mean, the title here, this is a brand new title. It is
so she's making the title as well as the title making her.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're running out of people, and it's some
point comes out afterwards and says she's not next, she's the one.
Yeah. I like the fact though that she's owning some of the murmurings and some of the talk. I mean, the whole green gimmick is in response to her, is she green? Is she too green?
Yeah.
So at least she's taking that and owning that. I'm still a big proponent of Jade. I think this is probably what she needs right now, but you've got a time frame. You've got a time frame where it starts feeling like the same old thing. And I don't know how quick we're going to get there.
The main event was Daniel Garcia and Bryan Danielson. And Bryan Danielson told us that at the end of the match, he'll have an answer for Moxley as well, as far as them, bleeding together, being together, whatever it is. Bryan Danielson wins after a 30, I wouldn't say a 30-minute. It might have been a 20-minute match, but a fantastic match. And then 2.0 went right after Danielson right away, but Moxley came in to clean. And Moxley Danielson has been announced for Revolution. That is the thing with AEW. They have so many matches that they can shoot together 2 weeks before a pay-per-view, and they feel amazing. We just got Jericho Kingston. We just got Moxley Danielson.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they do a really good job with that. And like I said, it has become a lost art here. I mean, you stop and think, and I hate to keep going back to the WWE formula, but it is the most relevant for discussion. Okay, we know pretty much after one pay-per-view where we're going to the next. And then you have, say on Raw in general, you've got 12 hours of TV to basically tell that story and get you ready for the pay-per-view. You've got 8 hours of SmackDown. That's 20 hours of combined time on your two main brands. And what AEW, and I still think AEW could probably, sneak in a couple more pay-per-views, but because they are so long between their pay-per-views, I mean, you are telling compelling stories from 1 week to the next. Each week's of TV is not just a quote unquote sell your pay-per-view, which you're not really doing that anymore. You're selling and keeping subscriptions from lapsing is what WWE is doing.
And not even their subscriptions, Peacock subscriptions.
Yeah.
Which is being handed out for free to a lot of cable customers. So they're not even paying for it.
Right. So AEW, they do a great job of putting these pay-per-views together. And I want to say this, I mean, there's so many times, say from November through this pay-per-view, which is going to be early March, where I have thought to myself, my goodness, they're giving this away. This away. What are they going to have left that's going to intrigue me for the pay-per-view? But my goodness,
they already
done
did
it
that
again.
now.
Yeah.
They've intrigued you. And let's talk about it. They didn't announce their next pay-per-view right away. It's going to be Vegas. They're doing a weekend in Vegas for Double or Nothing at the end of May.
That's smart, man. I mean, anytime you're running big buildings and you're doing it in a destination city, that's smart for AEW.
Because what they'll do is they'll have people in the town all weekend.
Yeah.
And again, the rule of Vegas, even though I've never been there, I know the rule. You get in and you get out. You stay 3 days, maybe tops, before you just, I got to go.
That's also very, very good rule for New Orleans as well. I mean, honestly, I think as it pertains to New Orleans, like 1 or 2 days might need to be the best suggestion.
We'll have to find out what the rule is for Dallas because we've already planned Thursday through Monday. So,
yes, indeed, man. We got a lot of stuff we're going to mark off the old checklist there in Dallas.
Yep. We got lots of things to do. If there's a baseball season, maybe we go to opening day for the Rangers and Yankees. We might have to go to the suppository building.
Yeah. And I know for a fact you and I are going to find ourselves in a darkened movie theater.
Yeah. We'll have to figure it out. All right. So that is Thursday morning. That is PWR Today. Matthew, we got one more to go before the week's over. So for Matthew Thomas, the man they call Meathead, hey, thanks for stopping by. Make sure you like and subscribe. We really appreciate the 2022 year so far, January, and just about wrapping up February here. We are seeing increases in numbers, downloads, views, listens. It's all from you guys. We love doing these shows. I know Linda's putting them out there. Do you know, Matthew, that we're just short of, I think we're around 450 episodes that we've done. We're going to be reaching episode 500 in just a couple months.
Oh, my goodness. I'm trying to see. Are we going to hit 500 when we're in Dallas?
No, I tried to count them out. Unless we do some specials, it'll be mid-April.
You know what? I think for episode 500, we need to go 500 minutes. Oh, yeah.
I can barely go 500 seconds. I mean, when I was a younger man, I might be able to go 500, but.
Yeah, well, I understand you're working on your stamina these days.
I'm trying to induce my cardio. All right. For Matthew Thomas, the man they call me today, thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning. So long, everyone.